최고!
Hello everybody, the Nintendo Hotspot here, and today I'm going to be doing my review of Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. I'll be doing this review into, I would say about 4 or 5 parts. I'll be rating each part as I go along, like the graphics, the gameplay, the storyline, and the controls. You know, just about that. And now at like my 5 part of this review, I will just say if this game is worth it or not in my final score. I know this game probably has like a ton of reviews, but no, yeah, on YouTube. But I just figured I'd review this game. Okay, I'm so sorry for this long wait. I know lots of people have been inboxing me to do this review, so here it is. Now we're going to move on to the controls part of this game. As you can, well, you can't really see it, but the controls are pretty much labeled out on the screen while you play your different, you know, courses, I guess you would say. I'm losing terribly. I'm so bad at this game. But what kind of gets annoying is after a while that you sometimes need to tilt the console. Not a big fan personally of tilting a console to like move around, and you would experience this in quite a few matches or trials, I guess you would say. But for the most part, you do experience a lot of circle pad motion and button motion, which does actually feel awesome because I really just love using buttons besides like touchscreen and tilting more than touchscreen and tilting. So the controls can get pretty iffy after a while if you're just bound to being a person who just plays with the buttons versus the touchscreen, and the the gyroscope can get pretty annoying. That's why I give the controls about a 7. They are awesome with the buttons and everything, but that's the only thing that can get annoying, is having that you have to go through some games with using the controls. And then some people will say, well, that's how you're supposed to play the game. But I can just depict on all the other games that you will use the controls, that use the touchscreen and that use the touchscreen and the gyroscope, can probably just be with the circle pad. Like for the shooting, however, you need to tilt this and find out where you target your disc. But I feel you can just circle the circle pad and use the A button to shoot like that. I mean, you know, there's little stuff like that that kind of gets me a little bit upset. But not to worry, now we're going to move on to the storyline of this game. I'm not going to give off too much about this, but I'm just going to show off its main features. Well, not features, but like what pops out to me, at least. Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games really packed a punch for the graphics. As I mean, well, just look at the gust over Tails' face and his body. It just looks totally awesome. As you can see, they have a nice blue layer on the side as well as a nice colorful finish on the floor. It gives us the effect that the floor is kind of like glossy, and it just like, oh man, but it just feels just fresh, new, and awesome, I guess, that at the least. These graphics really do you can really get used to these graphics, and I know myself, I was just watching cutscenes and over and over again, while just for the graphics, because they're just so good. I have no clue how Nintendo managed to pull off these insanely remarkable graphics, or getting all the coloring correct with some of the characters, and having some of the man, how do I dang it, but having some of the like effects on some of the like water, wind, and you know, they just look all realistic in this game, and that just makes this feel that this 3DS is new, and like it feels like the 3DS's graphics are just new, fresh, and not run over with some other like layouts of other games. You know what I'm trying to say. So that's why I gave these graphics a 10 out of 10. These graphics are just phenomenal. I know you guys are watching this on the camera, but if you were to be where I am right now, you would see how remarkable these graphics are. Now to go on with the controls part of this section, of this review, my fault. Before each of the episodes in your story, you're greeted with pretty, not long, but pretty immense cutscene, which I thought was just awesome. Yes, you do have to read, but what's wrong with that? I mean, that kind of gives the game, I guess you say, more suspense. But I actually find some of the graphics to be much better in the cutscenes versus the actual gameplay because, well, as you can see, all the fogs on the screen makes this game look a little bit, interesting. Well, I think. And the fact that you can see that the grass can depict with the purple fog, it just blends in really nicely. Like, it doesn't feel it's just been thrown in the graphics on the cutscenes. This does give you the option to skip some cutscenes, which I just did, but not that hard. So, what basically on the bottom screen is you pretty much just do challenges to get through to some levels. So, let's say if you do a certain episode, you would have to complete a certain amount of challenges. For example, I need to complete 4 challenges for this episode. Which was for like the first one, I wouldn't. And the challenges depend on what type of situation you're in, which is kind of cool. But nah, I don't really say it gets like, how would you say, annoying after a while. I mean, all in all, it is a storyline, and I have never really played a Mario Sonic game with a storyline. But this is what they look like, and, you know, it tells you a little objective at the top, and it's pretty much the same thing for every time. But it's just kind of on average, I guess you can say, with the storyline. Like, I'm not going to tell you too much about the story. However, it just is pretty amazing as you go through it. That's why I want to give the storyline about a 9. It really does feel kind of fun after a while when you play some of the games in the story. But then again, like, I'm not going to really get into much in the story, but just play the game and see how the story is. Quite frankly, I like this, and I don't think it's that bad of a title. However, some of the... Well, no, that's pretty much all I have to say for this. There's not too much to say about the story. I mean, how it is that this game does require... Not require, but this game... Oh, gosh. But this game, it kinda, to me, it kinda packs a punch with all of its little, what the... Sorry, but it kinda packs a punch with all of its little, like, parts that happen with this game in terms of, like, the cutscenes and the twists in the story. So it would keep you entertained at the end of your seat when you're playing this game. It does feel really new and refreshing, and it does not feel like any old reused Mario and Sonic game. So yeah, that's why I give this storyline an 8. Well, the storyline an 8. So I have just covered the controls, the graphics, the storyline. Now let's see what's next. The replay value for this game is moderately high, knowing the fact that you have some more games waiting for you just at the touch of a button. I feel that the gameplay for this game is not that necessarily, like, I guess you would say, there we go, alright, the gameplay is really not that necessarily, old. It doesn't really necessarily feel new, but it doesn't just feel bad and bland. I do find myself tapping into some of the gameplay, well, tapping into, the game more often than the storyline, because I just kind of just want to relax and just play a nice round of, not necessarily volleyball, but just other, like, games. The gameplay doesn't necessarily get boring, as I said earlier, but the only biggest downer about it is the fact that, you know, the controls are kind of iffy. If the controls don't really bother you, then that's good. Now, we're going to go to the final part. Oh, by the way, I give the gameplay a 7. It can be a little bit better, but the biggest downer I have about it is the fact that nothing. No, I give it a 9. This gameplay is perfect. I don't see anything wrong with it, honestly. The replay value is high. Knowing that you have some games at the just touch of a button is just stupendous. Okay, now we're gonna go with our last part of the review. Gosh, I keep rambling. My final go for this review, well, not necessarily review, but my final say about this game, Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games, is that this game can be fun for a little bit, but doesn't really entertain me for that long of a time. Not necessarily about days, however, just months, and how I would just play like Mario Kart 7. So this is a game that I'd necessarily say you would rent it, because it's not all that, well, the only pretty best thing about this game is the storyline, but other than that, it just has the regular, you know, levels as you get in other Mario and Sonic games, just remade and remastered in glorious 3D. So that's pretty much my summary of this, and that's why I give this game a 7.5. The controls are pretty awesome, the graphics are stupendous, the gameplay is okay. The storyline, however, can have some little twists and turns in it, but it just goes on point. The storyline can get pretty rambly after a while, but then again, it's a storyline, you know, almost all of them do that. So a 7.5. I recommend you pick this game up at GameFly and don't keep it, just take it and ship it back. I might be trading this game in the next couple of days to get, I don't know, post in the comments on what I should get. So, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. And for my next review, I'm going to go back when the 3DS first launched and review Super Monkey Ball 3D. I know this review was kind of lackluster. I just wanted to finish this, give it what I honestly thought about this, my opinion of this game, and just throw it out there. So yes, be sure to stay tuned for my next review. Don't worry, guys. I know I've been long gone for about 2 weeks. I'm going to definitely come back to YouTube. I was just super busy with stuff. I mean, it wasn't even funny how much stuff I had to be busy with. Projects, school, everything. So, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, and tune in for next time, or later this week, probably.